Welcome to the Leek. I'm John as always, and Amonkhet came out in paper today, which means I did my very first paper draft at the Gamers Emporium here in London, Ontario at Wonderland and Oxford. Great store to definitely check out. You get to play with me and an amazing community of players there. But yeah, we opened up some packs. We played some draft in paper. I've played a few online, but let's see how this one goes. Crack on open my pack here, go to the very back, and there's a commit to memory, which I've now opened pack one, pick one 3 times, I believe. I pack one, picked one at once, and commit's fine, even good. Memory is horrible, utterly horrible. So I just take this deem worthy. There really wasn't anything else in that pack. Pack 2 is here. We take a look. We flip on back, and there's no rare, unfortunately, but there's a Gravedigger, which is real good. Nothing else going on in this pack at all, really. Naga Vitalist is decent. I pushed that up to the front. But yeah, there's some weak packs in Amonkhet. Some really weak packs. I saw Paul Cheon going on about this today or yesterday. There's a lot of bad cards in this set. We'll see. We'll maybe talk more about that. But I take the Gravedigger. Gravedigger is a very solid card. Next pack, we've got a Sacred Cat, a Flame-Blade Adept. Ooh, an Angler Drake. That gets pushed right to the front. There's an Electrify as well, which I think probably should have been the pick here. Electrify is really good, and Angler Drake's fantastic. But this is not a slow set. I hate to say that, but this is not a slow set. While Angler Drake is good, you may just get run over. So I take it, but I do think Electrify was the right pick there. Next pack, we've got ourselves, ooh, a foil Ruthless Sniper. Ruthless Sniper seems like it can be really good, and I definitely want to give it a shot. There's another one in this pack, actually. An Unwavering Initiate back there, a Winds of Rebuke that I look at because I really want blue to be amazing. And blue has some really solid cards, though I think ultimately blue is a support color to several other colors. I don't know that it can truly stand on its own. Ultimately, I really want to try out this Ruthless Sniper. I already have a Gravedigger. We're looking kind of potentially black-bluish here. Angler Drake's real good. Next pack is up, and inside this pack we have a Pursuit Glory, a Naga of the Oracle, a Splendid Agony, which gets pushed to the front, another Naga Vitalist. At this point I probably should be grabbing some green stuff after a second Naga Vitalist gets passed, but we are still early in the pack. This is just pick number 5. I do have 2 black cards, so Splendid Agony kind of gets the slight edge here. I do think removal is really important in this set, and it's not quite everywhere. There is a bunch of it, but it's not quite everywhere. This pack, we've got a Talkrop Elite, which gets pushed to the front, a Weaver of Currents, which is really good. Man, does this ever help out the blue-green ramp deck. I've got that Angler Drake. I'm at this point really thinking, you know, blue-green, or not blue-green, sorry, blue-black is really where we're going to be headed. But man, Weaver of Currents is just so good, and maybe I should just stay open a little bit longer, and it's so much better than a Talkrop Elite that I do really think about it and then just ultimately take it. Next pack, we've got a Reduced to Rubble, a Blazing Volley, an Ancient Crab, a Mighty Leap, Faith of the Devoted, which is a card that I super want to try. I'm pretty sure it's good, and I really want to try it, and this is where I'm going to give it a go. I'm already pushing into blue-black, so I can pick up some Cyclers and push into that deck. Next pack, we've got a Floodwaters on top, which is a cycling card, and then not much, so I just take it. As I said, there's a lot of bad cards in this set. It honestly feels a little bit like Aether Revolt with all the artifacts, except now instead of artifacts, it's combat tricks and deserts. Yeah, we'll talk more. Next pack is up. Commit to Memory comes all the way back around to me. I figure that means that's slightly a sign, although maybe just people don't understand commit a really good card. So I do take it, and blue-black is looking pretty cemented here. Next pack, we've got a River Serpent. Not much. A Desert, as I said. Renewed Faith. Nothing in this pack. I take the River Serpent. It cycles, and, you know, if you're cycling, you can probably play it. So it is totally fine include in the blue-black cycling deck. Next pack is up, and we've got ourselves a Lay Bare the Heart, an Unburdened, a Slitherblade, and a Land Destruction. Well, Unburdened's the only card that cycles here, and I don't want to play anything else in this pack, so in it goes. I don't really want to play it either. Third last pick, we get ourselves an Onward to Victory, a Tormenting Voice, or a Trespasser's Curse. I take the Trespasser's Curse. really I should have hated out a card, because maybe somebody would play a Tormenting Voice, maybe somebody would play Onward to Victory. Nobody's going to play Trespasser's Curse. I forget this isn't a league. Heckma Sentinels, that goes in the deck. I think it's a really bad cycling payoff, but it is an option that I can get as I mess up my pile of cards here. Final pack is here, and it's an Embalmer's Duel. Big whoop. Time to crack on into pack 2, hoping for something really good. Maybe another Invocation. I opened my first one ever today, 400 plus packs in. Liliana's Mastery is pretty darn good, and I am in black. We've got a Vizier of Deferment, another Faith of the Devoted. There's a Final Reward. Couldn't remember the name of that card for a second. Final Reward is in here, and that's a really good card, and you need removal, because you can die real quick in this format. Liliana's Mastery, though, is Liliana's Mastery. It's 6/6 for 5. And then all the other zombie synergies that I have, I look through my deck and I say, hey, how many zombies do I actually have? Oh, I have 1 zombie. But maybe I can go into zombies, get more zombies, you know, get zombies with my cycling plan here. Maybe Final Reward's just better. I go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and I do take the Liliana's Mastery ultimately. Next pack is here, and I'm feeling a little bit worried about how split this deck is going to be. Let's push a zombie to the front with Miasmic Mummy, and ho, we got the Zombie Lord. Well, as I learned from my pre-release, my second pre-release, having the Zombie Lord and having Liliana's Mastery on the table is really, really good. So I'll happily take that and push way more into zombies. The question now is, do I try to totally pivot into black-white despite the blue cards that I have? Well, let's see. Next pack is here, and there is a Sacred Cat. That's a zombie. If I want to push into white, there's a Festering Mummy, which is a zombie in the colors that I already am. And there is just a Scattered Groves. You know, those are still like $4 or $5, which, you know, it's not much to me, but I could take it, and I could play it as a totally off color. I do just take it because really, again, the pack wasn't that great. There was a cat or a Festering Mummy, 2 1/1s for 1. So I do take that Scattered Groves. This pack, we've got a Wasteland Scorpion. We've got a Censor that I look at a little bit if we are going to go into the cycling deck still, but I'm really being pushed into zombies now, having 2 Zombie Lords. I take the Wasteland Scorpion because I'm black, I know that much, and I'm going to play it, so in it goes. Next pack is here, and we've got another Mummy, a cursed one. A Cursed Minotaur, and whoo, an Oketra's Attendant. Several picks into this pack. Now that seems strange, because Oketra's Attendant, I think, is relatively first pickable if there's no removal or a huge bomb or not. I look through my pack and I say, hey, how many white cards have I taken so far? Oh, I've taken none, which is a problem if I'm going to do this. But my blue I also looked at, and it wasn't that great. And then I look through and I try to figure out where the hell that Oketra's Attendant went. There it was. I didn't pick it all up. The Oketra's Attendant just is the pick here, and boy, it made me nervous, made me anxious, but I took it, and we're gonna push into black-white. Next pack is here. Was it the right decision? Let's find out. We've got a Doomed Dissenter here on top, which isn't great. We've got a Sparring Mummy, which is a zombie in white, a color that I need to start pushing into hard if that's the plan, especially after that Oketra's Attendant. And I think it's just significantly better than Doomed Dissenter anyways. Doomed Dissenter just isn't that great, even in the zombies deck. So I take the Sparring Mummy, and my fate is sealed. We're pushing hard into black-white halfway through pack 2. Next pack, we've got another Doomed Dissenter on top. An Oketra's Monument of Those Who Serve, a Cartouche of Solidarity. I push the zombie to the front. A really well-costed zombie. Oh, no, that's not Oketra's Monument. That was, looks like Ronus's Monument. I look through my pack again. At this point, I'm just like so stressed out about flipping into another color. As I later discovered, multiple people at the table switched their colors in pack 2. Multiple people at the table were drafting full 3-color decks, which I think is somewhat wrong for this format. Perhaps if you're base green it works, but I don't know about going full 3 other colors. But I did just take the Doomed Dissenter there because I knew I was black. I was fairly certain at this point that I was white though as well. This pack's got nothing. It's got a Winged Shepherd. It had an Illusory Wrappings if I still wanted to abandon this plan and go back into blue, but that's not the plan, so we just take the Winged Shepherd. This pack is just dead to me. We've got a second Faith of the Devoted. I take it. At this point, the draft is going off the rails. At this point, I know it's not going to look pretty, so I take the Faith of the Devoted, but again, the pack was basically dead. Next pack is here. We've got an Ancient Crab. We've got a Binding Mummy. That's a zombie. It's white. I need to start taking a lot of white cards, so snap it down. Next pack, there's a Festering Mummy. Perfect. That goes in my deck. Not happily, but it goes in my deck. It's okay with Gravedigger. Doom Beetle. I need playables. So we take the Doom Beetle. And it does hold off aggro, which this format absolutely 100% has. If you don't have a plan for aggro, you will just flat out lose the game. It's not as bad as Aether Revolt, but it's there. Next pack, what do we get for the last two picks? We get Shed Weakness or By Force. Neither playable, so I take that because nobody's going to play By Force. Somebody might play Shed Weakness. Slight Hate. And then we get Lay Bare the Heart, a card that I think is really not really that playable in draft. Maybe you can put it in sealed. I'm just not a big fan of Thoughtseize effects in general, and I'm not really a fan of Thoughtseize for 2 mana. Pack 3, please be good to me. Give me some stuff. Let me finish off this draft with some dignity. Or we could just get a Dispossess. That's a thing that we could get. This is going to be another thing you're going to hear me talk about with Amonkhet. There is a massive difference between the good rares, which are broken, and the bad rares, which are utterly unplayable. And that's a problem with the format, which sucks because I think I like this format. I think I like it a fair bit. But I think it's going to end up being a tragic format where there's going to be some glaring issues that drag it down. We'll see. We're early in, but this set is only around for 10 weeks. It's around for a very short time. Now, you just saw me taking a Ketra's Monument there. I thought for a long time, I think Gustwalker is the correct pick, but I wanted to see what Oketra's Monument does because I've heard so many people tell me that I'm wrong about it and that it's not only playable, but it's in fact great. And so I took it there. What I do know is great is Fanbearer, which I definitely snapped off there. Stir of the Sands I also know is pretty darn great, so in it goes as well. Next pack, we get another Oketra's Attendant. These cards are fantastic. I'm honestly shocked that I'm getting them. I feel like white is open, and it did not look that way throughout basically all of pack 1. It's really between the Oketra's Attendant or the Fanbearer. I take the Oketra's Attendant just because of the raw power of it, and I already do have one Fanbearer. I already do have an Attendant as well, but Attendants are just so good. Next pack is here, and boy, is white just utterly open with Compulsory Rest. And then, of course, there's Oracle's Vault, which I talked about in my Top 10 Thursday list, saying that it will forever haunt me in Pack 3 at points where I can't draft it. You know, at this point, maybe it would have worked in this deck, but I was also at a point where I needed playables real bad and good playables. So I took Compulsory Rest because, hey, it's removal, and removal's big, and I'm kind of short on it for now. So goodbye yet again, Oracle's Vault. This pack, you'll notice, has yet another Angler's Drake. This is either the third or the fourth one that I've seen. There were a large number of Angler Drakes in this draft pod, which is weird because on average there should be one. I don't think it would have been correct to take and play them all. Again, if your plan is to do a ton of stuff on turn 6, 7, 8, you're just going to die way too fast in this format. There is definitely the snowball run over potential. I take it basically out of hate because there wasn't much else in that pack, unfortunately. This pack, another Angler Drake is there, but there's also a Sacred Cat as well as a Festering Mummy, both of which would be totally playable in the deck. So I'm not going to hate out an Angler Drake here. I'm going to figure out, do I want the Mummy or the Cat? I want the Mummy. The Cat's just not that great. Maybe if you were the zombie deck with a Cat Lord, but otherwise, I'm not a huge fan of Sacred Cat. Next pack, we're getting near the end here. Can we get anything to finish things off? Well, there's an Anointed Procession, and I do have a Liliana's Mastery and an Oketra's Monument and a Stir of the Sands. It's dumb. It's Magical Christmas Land, but I take it because that's the way this draft is going. Getting down to the dregs, we've got a Cartouche of Solidarity, which is playable. I think it's fine. I think it's probably the second worst Cartouche. But then again, the other three are real good. There is just in Oketra's name, which I'm the zombie deck. So maybe I can just flood the board with zombies and win with that. This pack we flip through, and there's another zombie there at the back, Those Who Serve. There's also a Wander in Death. Those are really the only two picks. I take the zombie because I need the playable creatures. This pack, there's nothing except for a whole bunch of blue. I take the Honed Kopesh, not that I plan on playing it. Last 3 cards, we've got a Luxo Rivershine, a River Serpent, and a Bloodlust Insider. Nothing going on here. Nobody should be playing that River Shrine. Probably few people would be playing the Serpent. Also few people would play the Insider. I don't really know which is the proper hate here. I just take the Insider. Last 2 picks, anything for me? Nope. There's a cancel or Limits of Solidarity. I take the Limits of Solidarity because I don't foresee anybody playing that cancel. And then we get one last pick in this draft. Is it going to go in the deck? Is it going to be in any way playable? It is not. It's a Descender's Deliverance. And so that brings us to the end of the draft portion. Not a terribly large fan of how this draft went. The signals felt extraordinarily weird, with white not being open and then suddenly utterly being open, and blue at the end seeming shockingly open with 4 or 5 Angler Drakes coming around. It was a weird draft. But I knew the power was there if I could just get my Zombie Lord out, my Zombie Mastery out, or even just a pair of Attendants out. I had the stuff. So let's take a look at the deck. So here's how the deck shaped up, and I'm not actually going to go super in-depth into each of the drop slots here because there's not that much going on. You know, each creature slot has 3. There's 3 1-drops, 3 2-drops, etc. You just kind of see all of it there, and I think it kind of speaks for itself. It's one of the weaker feeling decks that I've built. This draft did not go well. As I mentioned, there were a number of people at the table who switched their color in Pack 2. There were a couple of people who went full on 3 colors, which was confusing things. Somebody who went basically mono blue mill, which was confusing things. So there were signals that were just wonky as all get out. And even I switched my color in Pack 2 as well, finally settling on white, which honestly looked pretty good with the pair of Oketra's Attendants. The Fanbearer, Binding Mummy, and the Zombie deck is always decent. But you will notice some very suboptimal cards, such as Lay Bare the Heart, which I can't comment on because I never got a chance to cast it. Unburden was just as mediocre as Mind Rot always is. I usually tried to cycle it away. When I did get cards out of hands, it didn't do much. Now, of course, the big question here is, what did I think of Oketra's Monument? I think it was basically right where I had it graded, which I think was like a D+ or a C- or something. I don't think it's that amazing. Getting extra 1/1s is cool, but it's not free. You have to play Oketra's Monument as a card in your deck. You have to spend turn 3, ideally, playing this card. And every time I played it on turn 3, I felt horrible because I was up against aggro deck after aggro deck. I was up against decks that on turn 3 were affecting the board. They were playing creatures. They were going to attack me on turn 4, and I was going to say, but I have this pyramid here. Now, in 2 games, I went off-ish. One game I got like 3 or 4 warriors off of Oketra's Monument, and I won. Another turn, I got like 8 because I had Anointed Procession out with it. But my opponents were doing nothing in those games. And any card would have been good in those games. I do not think that I will be trying Oketra's Monument ever again in a draft. Sealed? Sure. But not in a draft. Anointed Procession is also another card that I probably won't really be trying in draft, although the power is definitely there. Casting Stir the Sands and getting 6 3/3 zombies because I have a Lord out or an Anthem out, it's a little bit broken. But again, just like Oketra's Monument, playing that on turn 4 instead of doing something was bad and a flat-out wrong move. While this is not Aether Revolt, thankfully, it's not that far away. It is not diametrically opposed to Aether Revolt. It is a fast format. There's some dirtily stuff. There's some really cool synergies out there. But you can and will simply die on turn 5 or turn 6. But how did my matches actually shape up? Well, match 1, I was up against Marco, who was playing black-green. He had started out in white, and then got out of it in favor of black-green, which might explain why white suddenly seemed a bit more open. Marco unfortunately got very flooded in game 1, and I quickly ran him over with the Oketra's Monument, as I said. He played, I think, 2 cards. And in that case, yes, Oketra's Monument was really good. Game 2, he flooded out. I flooded out harder, getting 13 of my 17 lands on board and a 14th in the graveyard, but I was able to get a couple of flyers out that finished the game off, and I won. I was up 1 match. In round 2, I was up against Evan, who was playing flat out Mardu. 6-5-5 was his mana base. He was playing 16 land 3-color deck with 0 fixing. He had natural Mardu every single turn 3 of every single game. He was also playing Angel of Sanctions, a lovely example, although not a great example, of what I've talked about with a large number of the rares being game-breaking compared to the rest of the rares being almost unplayable or flat out unplayable. Thankfully, Angel of Sanctions is a mythic, so it's actually not a great example. Glorybringer, Glyph Keeper, etc. are the really good examples. But yeah, he trounced me hard because I just couldn't deal with turn 1 creature, turn 2 creature, turn 3 creature, turn 4 creature, turn 5 removal creature. You're dead. It's a fast format, guys. It's a fast format. Round 3, I was up against Laura playing for prizes because if we won, we got into 2-1 and would be 3rd or 4th, and if we lost, we'd have to go home with our heads hung low. And I lost. She was playing green, white, black. Not quite the greedy split that Evan was doing. She was definitely base green. She had some fixing. She had some cycling lands. She had ways of getting her mana. She also got all of her colors all the time on turn 3 of every game. She wasn't playing anything utterly busted. She just had a really solid deck, and a deck that curved out exceptionally well. The uncommon green-white Exert creature is very good, especially with things like Hooded Brawler and Bitterblade Warrior. I was not able to do anything in Game 1 and quickly lost. Game 2, she stumbled a little bit, and I was able to Anointed Processions Oketra's Monument Liliana's Mastery her, and demolish her. Game 3, I had a 1-lander, and I mulled to 6. And then I had a 1-lander, and I mulled to 5. And then I had a 1-lander, and I kept it, and scryed away a 2-drop, and top-decked a land, and actually stayed in, and got Laura down to 7. Well, I was down to 7 as well, but unfortunately she just overwhelmed me because I was incredibly behind the 8-ball at that point. There was really no recovering from that. It took forever to get the right mix of land and spells into my hand, and I finished up at 1-2 for my third 1-2 in a row in Amonkhet Limited. Now, I am in no way writing off this format. I have not had remotely enough experience with it. I've watched a lot, and I've played a lot, and I'm concerned, but I like it. I'm pretty certain that I like the format, but I am concerned, as I mentioned, the packs can very quickly get bad. The rares have a massive delta between the good ones and the bad ones, and there's very little in the middle, so it does feel very swingy. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely need to get some more experience with this. I will, of course, have Spiky Saturday and my streams and my bonus, and I'm even going to play this set for fun, which is wild. I certainly did not do that for the entire block of Kaladesh. I did not really play Magic for fun outside of FNMs and stuff for the channel, so that'll be great to get back to, and I am excited to explore this set a little bit more, but I got my worries. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this paper draft recap, sponsored by the Gamers Emporium here in London, Ontario. A fantastic place to play if you want to play with me, with the amazing community that we generate. We keep a lovely, accepting, mature community of players. It's not like your average Magic store in any way, shape, or form. It's not in a basement, for example. Yeah, come on and check it out. It's at Wonderland in Oxford in London, Ontario. Let me know how your drafts are going. Let me know what you think of the format. Do you have concerns like me? Do you think this format is just incredible and amazing and without flaw? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of this draft. I know it wasn't great, but let me know what you think of this draft. Where did I go wrong in the comments down below? As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at TheManaLeek. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at twitch.tv/TheManaLeek, Facebook.com/TheManaLeek, and Patreon.com/TheManaLeek. If you want to become a backer there, you can work your way towards earning a playmat, etc. As always, click that thumbs up icon if you like the content. Click subscribe if you're new and you want to see more. And if you do have those questions, those comments, or those suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you all next time.